Hi, I'm Jay Goldman, and you are watching Status Update on Butterscotch.com. Today, we're going to take a look at crowdsourcing. And you may never have come across the term crowdsourcing before, but it's quite likely that you've actually come across the thing itself as you've been surfing around on the web. If you've ever bought a shirt from Threadless, asked or answered a question on Get Satisfaction, or helped to translate part of Facebook, you've been involved in crowdsourcing. The word crowdsourcing seems to have first appeared in an article in 2006 by Jeff Howe in Wired called The Rise of Crowdsourcing, where he sort of covered the beginnings of this sort of movement, although the movement actually goes back quite a bit before that. According to Wikipedia, crowdsourcing is a distributed problem-solving and production model. That sounds kind of boring. Basically, this is all about leveraging the wisdom of the crowds, which is a 2004 book by James Surowiecki. The interesting thing about this is really that the decisions of an aggregated group of people are often better than what any of them could have come up with individually. The Threadless is an old example of this. It actually predates the book by about 4 years and was started in 2000 by Skinny Corp's Jake Nickel and Jacob DeHart. And they came up with the idea that designers who design t-shirts could upload those t-shirts to a website, and then visitors and members of the community could score them on a scale from 0 to 5. So they don't actually produce the t-shirt immediately, but people can vote on the designs. There's about 1,500 designs competing in any given week, so quite a lot of people uploading them. And then each week, staff selects about 10 designs to get printed based on how popular they are on voting. So you've crowdsourced out the risk of printing t-shirts that people aren't going to buy by only printing the ones that get really popular. All right, let's look at another example. Get Satisfaction launched in January 2007, and this was crowdsourced customer satisfaction, or is crowdsourced customer satisfaction. So they started this as a side project to Valleyswag, which is a website that they were working on, and they noticed that some of their customers were helping out some of their other customers without them necessarily getting involved. And when they saw this, they realized that there was a whole model for this where they could set up a website where customers of one company could answer questions and help out other people who were buying from that company, even without the company itself getting involved. So anybody can go on Get Satisfaction and start a new forum for a company or product. They can start asking questions and other people can start answering them. And then a company can come along and claim it as an official forum and be the official representatives in there, in which case they get badged as an employee and they can go in and answer questions. So you don't have to have the company president involved, but if they'd like to be, they can certainly jump in and get involved. This really empowers your users or customers to help each other out and to form a really passionate community around your product. So you can actually have a whole lot of what used to be an expensive process that you had to do through support and customer satisfaction managed by the people who are most passionate about your product and are willing to volunteer some of their time to get involved and help out other people. All right, one more example. Facebook launched translations in early 2008. They realized that internationalization was key to their expansion outside of the US. So up until that point, Facebook was only available in English, and they really wanted to be able to expand to other countries where English isn't the first language. But translating a site the size of Facebook, or localizing it as well, can be a very expensive and time-consuming process. So they opened it up to their users, and this was really brilliant. At the time when they did this, there were about 24,000 phrases that needed to be translated in order to have Facebook available in a different language. So they built the Translations app on top of the Facebook platform. And once you've installed the Translations app and activated it, every word that needs to be translated gets highlighted on Facebook, and you can click on that word to vote on translations that people have already submitted or make up your own. So if you go through the list of what people had already submitted, you didn't think any of them were accurate, you could provide your own translation for it. This is crowdsourced translation and localization, and it's actually a really brilliant way to do this because Facebook's users are so passionate about, or some of their users are so passionate about Facebook and about having it in their own language that you give them the ability to do this and they translate it incredibly quickly. So they went from having only English to a whole lot of languages very, very fast, much faster than they could have done it on their own with much less cost. Now they actually had professional translators go through and verify the official final translations just to make sure, but on the whole, this was done entirely by the crowd. A great way to tackle that problem, and something that we're seeing a lot more web apps starting to do as well. Hootsuite is actually doing their translations through the same mechanism, so pretty cool. All right, I want to end with a little cautionary tale about crowdsourcing. This is not all sunshine and lollipops. So you may have heard about the Gap recently relaunching their brand, and there's been no end of the coverage of them relaunching this. And it was met with a horrible backlash online. People really did not like the new logo. And so they started talking about it on Twitter, they started talking about it on Facebook. It was really sort of deafening for a couple of days. And the Gap announced that, okay, we hear you, we're listening, and so here's what we're going to do. And they announced this on their Facebook page. We're actually going to retire this logo. Obviously, you guys don't like it. And we're going to ask you to submit your own designs, and then we're going to pick the most popular one. So this is really crowdsourcing design work in a way sort of similar to what Threadless does, except without really paying anybody to do this. And my cautionary note here is that crowdsourcing does not equal free work. In the industry, this is known as spec work. You're asking people to speculate on potentially getting more work down the road or on maybe getting paid if they've got the winning design. And it's actually banned by anybody who's a professional designer. So the AIGA, who are the professional organization for design, have a very strong opinion against spec work. And they actually sent a letter to the Gap cautioning them that they were asking people to do work for free, which isn't really fair. I think the whole thing sucks. I'm not a fan of spec work at all, and certainly any time I've been in a professional situation where we were asked to do that at Rating Core or something along those lines, we always said no. And I would say that you should really think about doing the same thing. So there's a website out there called CrowdSpring. I don't want to pick on them, but CrowdSpring really facilitates this through creating contests for doing logo design and stuff like that. I would say don't go down that road. Asking people to do spec work isn't fair. They need to get paid for what they're doing. You can certainly go through portfolios of great designers and pick somebody that you want to work with, but once they're working for you, you should pay them. If you're looking to register a domain name, don't forget that you can get 10% off at hover.com using the promo code that you can see on the screen now or in the show notes on butterscotch.com. I'm Jay Goldman. This has been Status Update. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll catch you next time.